would be most useful and beneficial.
All right, Erica. So we're going to be asking you a series of questions, right? And then the last 5 minutes of the interview will be reserved for a tech-based question. We'll have a laptop right here for you for that. And so, like Veronica said, we'll be taking notes, so please don't mind us. And other than that, we can get started. I'll go ahead and ask the first question. So, tell me what you were doing before Europe, how you heard about the program, and essentially why you decided to join.
So before Europe, I was just working part-time. I'm also a mom, so I'm a full-time mom, part-time worker. So I heard about the program through my cousin. He went here, actually, and a few of my friends went here. They graduated from here and have jobs. So I saw that this was working for them, and I wanted it to work for me too because I wanted to provide for my daughter.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
So why do you want to work in tech?
I want to work in tech because I think it's a career path that is growing. There's a lot of it's really open-ended. So I can take the tech that I learn here and I can put it in almost any position nowadays. Everywhere I go, it involves some kind of tech. So I know that I can find a place for myself in tech.
And I'm going to ask you 3 questions. We'll start with the first one. What was your biggest growth area or challenge during the learning and development phase?
So my biggest challenge has been, and I'm still working on it, is public speaking.
Okay.
So at the beginning of L&D, even my program manager mentioned to me that even in a week we had to do these games and even warm-up questions. I would come out and I would giggle all the way through, and now I can go up and give a presentation or a speech and I don't giggle all the way through. I can project, I can speak and get my point across.
So how did you get to that point?
So how did I have been put into positions that I've had to give my first speech, because before this program I have never given a speech, not in school or anything. I had to give speeches, multiple, and give multiple presentations. So I've had to put myself out of my comfort zone to do these things.
So it seems like you've made some progress, and moving into the internship, how do you plan to improve from here?
So because of that, I can now give presentations and be concise about what I want to say, so I can get my point across, because I know that they're not going to want to hear every step I took to get there. They're going to want the exact knowledge that of what I did and how it's going to move further. So I think that my public speaking will continue to grow. It's not something that I will be comfortable with ever, probably, but I will learn to know that I can do it.
Great. Thank you.
Awesome. So, you've had a chance to... Okay. Sorry about that. You've had a chance to review the different job descriptions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And of all of the ones that you've seen, which one do you think you're a better candidate for, and what would make you a strong candidate for that technical position?
So the career track I am most interested in is quality assurance, and I believe that I would be the most qualified for that because I pay close attention to detail in class, or just in like web dev or even business class. We have to write stuff, or we have code, and I would be the first one to find the error in the code that makes it inaccurate. So I find that, I fix it, and it makes it work. Another reason is I can communicate well. I communicate really well with my colleagues and with my program manager, my teacher, my instructors. So being open to communicate, to get points across to my team about what I found out, how to make things better, I think that will all really help in that sense. And one other reason is because I'm really eager to learn and new things every day. So I know that with coding and whatnot, it continues to grow and it continues. So you have to keep up with it. So I'm willing to do that.
All right, awesome, thank you. So for the next question, we're actually going to switch gears a little bit. And it's going to be a scenario-based question. And this question, you can just walk us through how you would answer that question. Anyone else want to answer that? That's the one.
Yes, so my question for you is that you have a remote manager who is always busy and difficult to reach. You have significant downtime on internship and not sure what to do. Walk us through an immediate and long-term plan to address this concern and be specific.
Okay. So am I trying to reach my manager? Or I'm just trying to figure out what I'm doing with my downtime?
figuring out what you need to do with your downtime
Okay.
with having a remote manager.
Okay, so with having a lot of downtime, I would first of all go through all my tasks and make sure I did all of them well, and maybe even go have someone peer check them for me to make sure before I were to turn them into my manager that they were correct. And if I were done with all of that, well, okay, let's talk about the tasks. So I would work on the hardest one first, and once I'm done with the hardest one, then I'll move on to the rest. And also, before that, I would have my peers check them, which will eventually lead to me being done with my tasks. And that's when I would maybe go around the office, ask if anyone else needs help, or anything I can help them with or shadow them on, which I think would help me grow. So I think that would help. And another, once if I've gone through all those steps, would maybe ask my manager for more work to add to that workload. And then I would continue to do the steps that I had taken before.
All right. Awesome. Thank you.
I'll ask you the next question. So, can you tell us about a time when you struggled with reliability, and how did you overcome it?
Okay. So, at one point I did have let's say it was an assignment. So I had an assignment doing my web dev class, and I had the weekend to do it, but I did not prioritize my time well, so I did not get it done when I needed to have it done. So I did speak to my instructor later on after it happened, and I told her what I did, and she gave me some time to finish it. I still earned the infraction, so which is something that happens when you don't do something right, so you can learn from it. And from there, I did start to prioritize my time right. I got a planner. I started writing everything in there so I could make things work. So I did not go through that again.
Great. Great, thanks.
Cool. So I'm going to go ahead and ask another scenario question here. Let's see here. So imagine you were asked to organize a room with a lot of tech equipment, similar to this one, right? Where'd it go? What tools and processes would you use to keep track of what's here and what gets taken out?
Okay, so one way that I would do this is if anything that was taken out, I would take a picture of it because I'm kind of visual, so I would do that. But another thing I would do is I would use Excel, and I would write all the items in there and how many of which are taken and how many of which are still in here. So, because I think Excel is the kind of tool that you can track numbers and you can put in formulas to make it work right. So that's how I would do that.
Okay, awesome. Which time are we at here? Really quick. Okay. So, we have time for maybe a couple more questions.
Yes. My question for you is it more important to lead or is it more important to compromise? And why?
So I think that question can go either way because it all depends on the timing. Because sometimes it will be more important to lead if there's not if there's nothing going up, like nothing's happening, like if you're like stagnant, someone needs to lead in order for it to go further. But in other times, it's important to compromise because if you were to find a middle ground, you can take both of your ideas or whoever is in it, all of people's ideas, and make it work so everyone would be happy. So I think it really depends on the situation where you would lead or compromise.
Okay.
Question. Let's talk about career goals. Kind of talked about it a little bit earlier, but so what are your career goals for immediately after graduating from Europe, and then looking at, say, 3 to 5 years out? What goals do you have in mind right now?
So right now my goal is to get a full-time job after this because I do have a daughter and I want to create a foundation for us. I want to be able to live on our own, and from there, once I have the finances, I want to go back to school. I do, maybe further develop myself in that company. Like if they have if I were to be at a company, I would hope either they have a way for me to go up and like, contribute to my school or at least work with my school schedule. And if not, that's when I wanted to have the finances that I could go back and it not take away from my work and not take away from my home and maybe do computer science. That's what I'm pretty sure I wanted to do. And from there, I would just want to develop myself further to get higher or not even higher. I just want to develop myself to get maybe even on the same level, but I want to have more skills that I can take with me wherever direction I go.
Gotcha. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you. So, for this last question here, this is going to be the tech-based question. It's going to be one final scenario, and then we're going to somewhat role-play the scenario here. I'm going to ask you a question, and you're kind of going to walk me through how you would help me solve that question. So, for you, which one do I want? Okay. So, let's say you're a PM analyst at a company, right? And I work on the same team as you. And I've been working on this document for a while now, and my manager asked for a copy of it. But just so happens that my manager does not have Word on their computer, and they need it as a PDF. Is there any way you can help me convert this Word document that I've been working on into a PDF document?
Okay, so should I?
Yes, please. Should I look at Stadman? There we go.
Okay, so this is your document, right?
Mm-hmm.
So from here, you could go to File and Save As, and if you want to save it to your documents, you could save it there. And from here, you have your file name there. It says Save As Type. You click this little bottom arrow here, and you go down to PDF. From there, you look to see optimize for standard or minimize size, but you just want to do standard. And you can also have the option of opening the file after publishing, which we will do. So I'm going to save it, and it will be saved as a PDF. Here's your PDF.
Awesome.
Saved
Seems
as
simple
doc.
enough.
Mhm.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. And I actually forgot to stop the iPad.